Hello guys, welcome to this weekly recap. So for the past week of trading, from Sunday, February 23rd till Friday the 28th, we had the four opportunities. So starting off with GBP CAD, then we had GBP USD twice, and finally ending with GBP NZD. So reviewing this first trade on GBP CAD, as you can see, there is a very key trend line right here, which is a very long-term one. So that was actually retested from September, starting September, um, you know, early in the month. So from the 2nd till uh, February 19th of this year, 2020, that it finally was broken on the downside. So we had many retests. You can see three right here, four, five, six, seven, and after the seventh, we had a break. And you can also see this trend line as well that acts as the same, here as support and here as resistance twice. We didn't get the third until right here, currently in this week, before it made this big downside movement. But in regards of the trading, so you can see that this support trend line and this resistance trend line form the triangle. Plus we have two key levels right here. So at 1.7210 and at 1.6935 right here. And what actually happened is that we expected price to in the end target our final point right here at the minus 27 and this 1.6935, which it didn't. Uh, Even though right here, currently running this week on Monday, so March 2nd, it's currently heading towards it. But still, we got 75 pips on TP number one, because if we zoom in, you can see that the triangle is present right here, and you can also see that with this another trend line, so uh, touching these two highs. Uh, at this point right here, we were expecting, after the break of this trend line, the one that was retested 7 times, we were expecting a correction, maybe till even the 78.6, but just to make it more conservative, and that it didn't happen, because we saw that the key level at 1.72, the institutional level right here, and 61.8 confluencing together, as well as you can see the red line, which is the 50 MA. Three confluences right here. So instead of putting the trade right here and not getting it, we actually entered that 1.72, and you can see that it was an entry king, because with the wick right here, price closed right here, so about 90% of our away from our main target. And with the next candle, you can see that the wick on the downside right here touched our first take profit at plus 75 pips. And as you can see from this moment, since we were on break even after we take our first partial profits, meaning this TP number one, we saw price moving into the negative zone, and then eventually stopping us out. But actually, if you had a second position, you would have been stopped at break even. So 75 pips were won in here, and that's for GBP CAD. Getting towards GBP USD, it was actually a win trade as well, because you can see again right here, there's a triangle. So this trend line right here acting as resistance, and this trend line acting as support. You see clearly the triangle, and at this point right here, we were expecting a third touch. So from the previous, since we are in an uptrend, from the previous low to the previous high, we had the 61.8, maybe 78.6 with a wick. We didn't put it right here, but just a bit above at 1.2920 being our first entry. And then it again closed at about 50% of our main away from our first take profit. And then with the next two hourly candles, you can see that with this wick actually was a perfect right here was a perfect uh, entry king, and right here was an exit king move because we got out at plus 30 pips as TP number 1, and after just entering this first trade, we mentioned to which was called at 9 a.m. We called another entry, so at about the same entry, so at the 1.2925 as mentioned in the VIP signals group, but we decided to exit it at break even right here because, as you can see, we enter it and then it went to the negative. We already secured our 30 pips profit, but we entered and then price vogued in the negative zone and then came back to break even for a couple of hours. And after many hours of seeing that wasn't progressing and seeing that this trend line was actually broken and retested, we didn't want to get on the wrong side of the move, so we exited at break even, making the summary of this trade at 30 pips with TP number 1. And finally, on GBP, so it was 30 pips on the first entry and break even on the second one, and GBP and ZD was actually the trade that was lost, because as you can see right here, from a clear perspective, you see an uptrend, and this trend line right here was really well respected, connecting these two lows, having right here a third retest even though it didn't touch, and right here you see that it actually broke below. But if you see previously, so we had a supply and demand zone key right here that was retested as resistance, then price bounced down to make the third touch, and then price surged with this big bullish candle. It sure was because of the institutions or some news, and then you can see that price right here went till this point, and we were maybe expecting a pullback around the zone if we wanted to go long. But as you can see, price came here, then bounced to make a first lower high. So we had this high, of course, right here, as you can see, right? And then you see the smaller one. So we have the push and the pullback right here. So first lower high, and as you can see, price just with this candle, big bearish one, broke below this below the supply and demand zone, below this key level at 2.0475 and the trend line, and we were expecting, of course, a correction, so around right here, and then unfortunately we got stopped out on the same candle at minus 100 pips. So it's part of the game. I would say that the flaw in this trade was that, yes, as I mentioned, we had a new lower high, but we didn't get a new lower low. So the previous low was here, and right here these two candles came all the way down till here, but they rejected like the the price here, and they just closed right here, and they closed right here, meaning above this previous low. So we were actually and technically still in a bullish market, so that's why we had the big move. And even right now we haven't yet broken this low, so we had the lower high but we didn't get the lower low. So minus 100 pips on this trade. For a recap of GBP CAD plus 75 pips, GBP USD first entry 30 pips, second entry we ended up closing manually at break even, and GBP NZD minus 100 pips for a total of 5 pips net profit. It wasn't a very good week, but it wasn't the worst one. So as usual, guys, if you guys want to copy our VIP Forex signals, you can go and go on our main website at goldenoptiontrading.com, enter your email, stay updated for our latest announcements, releases, products and services upcoming. and even some giveaways that we occasionally do. You can follow us at Golden Option Trading on Instagram with 71K followers right here, with this account being the main one in English, and this second account, which is the Francophone account at Golden Option with 19K followers. So I hope you had an amazing week of trading, that you caught the 2 profitable moves, and that you maybe made some pips on your own. And I'll see you guys therefore on the next video. Trade safe.